Ohai. Known in pre-Islamic Syria as Emesa, the city in the center of the western Syria, the administrative center of the governorate of the same name. It is at the height of 501 meters above sea level. The city is located on the Elossi River, Orant, which divides the city into two parts. East, which represents the plain strip stretched to the irrigation canal of Homs, and western, with more modern constructions. Homs is the transport hub, is connected automobile and the railroads with Damascus, Aleppo, Latakia and other cities. Located on the river Orant, Homs is also the central link between the internal cities and the coast of the Mediterranean Sea. Distance to Damascus, about 162 km on the south, to Aleppo -192 km on the north, to Palmyra -150 km on the east, to Tartus -90 km on the west. Before the civil war in Syria, Homs was the large industrial center, and with the population not less than 775,400 people in 2014, it was the third largest city in Syria after Aleppo in the north and the capitals of Syria of Damascus in the south. Its population reflects the general religious variety of Syria, consisting of Sunni Muslims, Alawites and Christians. In the city there are several historical mosques and churches, and it is near the Loch of Crac des Chevaliers, the UNESCO World Heritage Site. Homs appeared in historical records only in the 1st century BB, in time Seleucid. Later it became the capital of the state which ruled Samtsi-Kerma. Originally it was the center of worship of god of the sun El-Gabalu, later it purchased value in Christianity at Romik. Emesa was won by Muslims in the 7th century and received the present name. Throughout all Islamic era, the Muslim dynasties fighting for control over Syria aspired to Homs because of strategic provision of the city in this area. Homs began to fall into decay at Ottomans, and only in the 19th century the city restored the economic value when its cotton industry endured a boom. During government of the French, the city became the center of a revolt, and after finding of independence in 1946, the center of resistance of Ba'ath Party members to the first Syrian governments. During the civil war in Syria, the most part of the city was destroyed during a siege of Homs. Reconstruction of affected areas of the city continues, and capital reconstruction began in 2018. The origin of the modern name of the city is that it is the Arab form of the Latin name of the city Emesis, derivative of the Greek name Emesa, Emesos or Hemesa. For the first time under the name Emesa, the city is mentioned in sources about 2300 BB. The majority of sources claim that the name Emesa, in turn, came from the name of the nomadic Arab tribe known in Greek as Emaseno, which inhabited this region to the Roman board. Emesa was reduced to Homs or Hims by its Arab inhabitants, many of which lodged before Muslim conquest of Syria there. Other sources claim that the name Emesa or Hemesa was derivative of the Aramaic name of the city of Homos Savba, a combination of Homos, fortress, and Savba. Proximity. Thus, the name is meant in total by the surrounding fortress that belongs to the fortress of Homs and adjacent plains. Subsequently the city was called in medieval Greek and as La Chamelle, female camel in French, but probably literally means the distorted Arab name according to René Dussault. Crusaders. Later the name Emesa was in abbreviated form to Homs or Hims, its Arab population. History. During approximately 2000, Homs served as the key agricultural market, the production site and shopping center for villages of northern Syria. He also rendered services in safety in the internal regions of Syria, protecting them from forces of invasion. Excavation in a citadel of Homs shows that the earliest settlement on this place is dated approximately 2300 BC. Scientists, biblical scholars identified this city with Hamas Savba from the country of the crow mentioned in the Bible. In 1274 BB happened battle between Egypt's troops at Ramses II and Hattif at Muwatalli II near the city of Kadesh on the river Oran near Homs. It was possibly the largest battle on chariots ever occurring, with participation, perhaps, 50–60 chariots. In the 17th century BB it is won by Hetta. In the 14th–13th centuries BB Mitanni was controlled. A Neski helmet was a part of the power of Achaemenid, state of Selevkid. In the 64th year BB passed under the power of Rome, then Byzantium. In Eames Julia Domna was born. At the Emperor Caracalla, the Roman colony. The Emperor Geliogobel was the chief priest of Phoenician god of the sun Elidable in Eames. At Gelioboli Eames became the capital of Phoenicia Lebanese. In 272 in fight at Eames the Emperor of Relian broke Zenobia. The Christianity in Eames was widespread in the 3–7th centuries, and in 637 Amasa was won by Arabs who gave to the city his modern name. In the 11th century Homs was conquered by the Seljuks, during the First Crusade, Crusaders. In the 11th century in mountains in 65 came to the west from Homs the Loch of Crack de Chevaliers. The Arab name Khalyat Hassan was constructed. In the middle of the 13th century underwent the Mongolian invasion, then entered the Mameluki Sultanate. In 1516 Homs was a part of the Ottoman Empire. On July 8, 1832 in the Battle of Homs Ibrahim Pasha broke the Turkish vanguard. Till 1918 Homs treated a Sandak of Hamav the Syrian Vilayet. Since 1920 under the French Mandate, since 1943 as a part of independent Syria. In 1959 in the city the Petroplant was constructed by Czechoslovak firm Technoexport. Homs considerably suffered because of the protest performances which began in the spring of 2011 which developed into Massachusetts riots. On September 5 divisions of the Syrian army which began carrying out transaction against the fighters who took several quarters in the old town were entered into the city. In December 2011, February 2012 bloody collisions between divisions of the Syrian army and extremists followed. Especially the Christian population of the city suffered. As a result of fighting, diversions and terrorist attacks the city received considerable destructions. On December 27, 2011 the gas pipeline was blown up, the fire continued within 3 hours. On January 31, 2012 fighters blew up the oil pipeline on the outskirts of the city that led to ignition at oil refinery. On February 9, 2012 fighters shot at oil refinery with a mortar, the building was as a result damaged and 2 tanks with oil are set on fire. On February 10 terrorists blew up several mined houses in a quarter the woman Amr. On February 15 fighters blew up the main oil pipeline on the outskirts of the city. As a result of explosion the strong fire began. On February 17, fighters blew up the gas pipeline in the urban area of Al-Sultani. On February 18, fighters fired at fuel warehouses at oil refinery. Several shells got to containers with gasoline with a capacity of 50,000 tons of fuel. The arisen fire managed to be localized. By February 29, in many central regions of the city occupied by fighters, supply of electricity, water supply stopped, the sewerage failed. The Syrian army did not conduct active fighting in the central regions of the city, being limited to periodic firings of houses from which snipers fired. Firings of snipers of steel for homes of one of the most vital issues. To be saved from sniper fire, residents were forced to build the covering busy streets of a construction from concrete blocks and even from massive street trash cans. One more big problem for the city and its population was represented by firings of residential areas from mortars, mainly self-made shells, as a result of which a great number of civilians perished and was wounded. By the beginning of 2014, the sizes of the enclave controlled by fighters in the center of Homs were about 1.5 km. Thanks to active negotiations of the new governor of the region Talil al-Barazi, it was succeeded to bring about 1,000 people who wished to leave an enclave out of the blocked areas. The majority of evacuated was made by women, children and elderly people. This event served as the catalyst for Massachusetts' capitulation of the former fighters who wished to lay down arms and to use amnesty represented by the state. In May 2014, Homs was completely freed from terrorists. After release, the city was repeatedly visited with humanitarian missions by representatives of the Russian parliamentary delegation. The product delivery and medicines was also performed by forces of the Coordination Center for Reconciliation of the Conflicting Parties. In April 2018, for signing of bilateral agreements about cooperation, Homs was visited by the coordinator of Deputy Group on Communications with Parliament of Syria D. Sablin and the governor of Khanty-Mansi Autonomous Okrug. Komarova. Population: Sunni Muslims 75%, Alawites 15%, Christians 10%. Homs was one of the largest cities of Syria in the 12th century with the population of 7,000 people. In 1785 the population of Homs totaled more than 2,000 people, where the Osno-Fenyanaslanai consisted of the Orthodox Christians and Muslims making equal quantity to each other. In the 1860th years the population increased to 15,000-20,000 people. By 1907 about 65,000 people, from whom 2/3 were Muslims, and the others Christians, lived in Homs. In the census of 1981 the population made 346,871 persons, having increased to 540,133 in 1994. According to the census of 2004 conducted by the Central Statistical Bureau of Syria, the population of Homs made 652,609 people, of whom 51.5% made men and 48.5% of women. By independent assessment for 2005, Kurd people lived in the city, and as of 2008 the population made about Kurd people. By estimates in 2011 Kurd people lived in the governorate Homs. Today the population of Homs reflects the general religious variety of Syria and consists generally of Sunni Muslims. including Arabs, Kurds and Turkmens, with minorities of Alawites, Orthodox Christians and East Assyrian Christians, in addition to Catholics, Evangelists and Maronites. In the 1880th years, during inspection of the Western Palestine, it was noted that in the country there were 5,500 Greek Orthodox Christians and 1,500 Syrian Orthodox Christians. The Syro-Jacobite Patriarchy was transferred to Homs from Mardin in 1933, but in 1959 moved to Damascus. During genocide of Armenians at the beginning of the 20th century, about 2,000 Armenians emigrated to Homs and nearby villages. In the city there is also a small Greek community. After the beginning of fighting, Islamist militants from anti-governmental groups carried out replacement of the Christian population of the city, plundered, killed and kidnapped Christians for the purpose of the redemption, profaned and destroyed churches. As of the beginning of February 2012, 30% of the Christian population decided to leave Homs. As of the end of June 2012, Christian quarters practically became empty. According to Greek Catholic, Homs to Lebanon was fled by 138,000 brothers in faith, apart from 70,000 parishioners of Syriac Orthodox Church. Despite all difficulties, for 2016 Christians made 10% from all population of the city. Sites: the downtown Chasovea Square and Nuri's Mosque of Al-Kabir. It is constructed in 1129. Khalid ibn al-Walid's Mosque. Here is Khalid ibn al-Walid's tomb, known and the esteemed Islamic soldier. Church of Ammaz az-Zanar. In honor of Virgin Mary's belt, it is constructed in the 59th year. Elian Chomsky's Church. It is constructed in 432. Citadel of Homs. Walls of Homs. Famous natives. Heliogobel is the emperor of the Roman Empire. 218-222. The Reverend Roman Sladkopav. The end of the first half of the 6th century. Nureddin Al-Atassi is the Prime Minister of Syria. 1968-1970. Khalid ibn al-Walid is the greatest Islamic commander. In Mecca, it is buried to Homs in Khalid ibn Walid's mosque. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.